Go through, like on TBN, one of the trends I've seen a lot within Charismania is them having priests up there, on stage with them. It's like it gives them that extra layer of whatever credibility that at least they think it does. But again, what is it about? It's about creating a one-world religion. Let's go further here. Nothing thrilled Catherine Kuhlman more than to have 30 or 40 Catholic clergymen. 30 or 40! Especially if they wore clerical collars, or better yet, cassocks, sitting behind her while she ministered. Now, if the Catholic Church wasn't in approval of Catherine Kuhlman, why would they sanction 30 or 40 priests to go up there, and nuns, and sit behind her? They're basically giving it their stamp of approval. Somehow it seemed to lend authenticity to what she was doing, and help create the proper climate of trust and understanding, which was so necessary for a miracle service. This is what I was reading, a quote from that book, Daughter of Destiny. Dr. Nolan, in his book Healing, did a long-term follow-up of 23 of Catherine Kuhlman's claimed healings. There were no cures among any of these cases. One woman who said she had been cured of spinal cancer threw away her brace, ran across the stage at Kuhlman's command. Her spine collapsed the very next day. That's how well she got healed. According to Nolan, she died 4 months later. And again, all of this is referenced, everything that I'm telling you. Catherine Kuhlman, as a young woman, now listen, meticulously studied Aimee Semple McPherson, taking in every moment, every movement, every song, every dramatic presentation, every altar call from the vantage of the Angelus Temple balcony. And again, this is all referenced, everything that I'm telling you. For much of Catherine Kuhlman's early ministry, she lived in the shadow of her role model, the most famous woman preacher of all time, Aimee Semple McPherson. Although she never met Aimee in the Angelus Temple, enough of the glitter rubbed off to start her toward her own superstar status. These are different quotes from different books that I'm reading from. Catherine had a flamboyant lifestyle. Not only did she have a love for very expensive clothes, precious jewelry, luxury hotels, first-class travel, but she also married to an evangelist who divorced his wife to marry Kuhlman. Sounds biblical to me. Let's go further. Aimee Semple McPherson. So this was the foundation of Catherine Kuhlman's ministry. Aimee Semple McPherson. Now it's really going to get interesting. Aimee Semple McPherson, nationally known healing evangelist of the 1920s and 1930s, founded and headed Foursquare Gospel Church. So if you go to a Foursquare Gospel Church, just understand where your foundation comes from. Aimee Semple McPherson. And we're going to look at this in a second here. She led a very controversial life and died of a drug overdose in 1944. Sounds like a biblical woman to me. She thought that her organization was in fact restoring true Christianity, which had been lost over the years. She is without a doubt the most controversial of all Pentecostal women. Now I don't know if that could be said for today, in today's day and age, but at the time she definitely was. She got the baptism in 1907. I think that means she started speaking in tongues. And then soon she went with her husband to China, where he died. She came back to the United States and traveled as an evangelist. A woman evangelist. Okay, and in 1919 she settled in Los Angeles, where she built the Angelus Temple. She served as the pastor of the temple until her death in 1944. She is controversial because she faked her own kidnapping in order to carry on an adulterous affair in 1926. Again, sounds like a biblical Proverbs 31 woman to me. I don't know about you. During the outcry against her over this affair, she incorporated the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel, which later grew into a large Pentecostal denomination that still continues to this day. And if the foundations be destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Foursquare denomination exists today. Sister Aimee died of a barbiturate overdose in 1944. While the Dictionary of Pentecostal and Charismatic Movements deals with controversial aspects of Sister Aimee's life, her mysterious disappearances and alleged affairs, multiple marriages, 2 of which ended in divorce, and death from an apparent drug overdose, it is strangely silent about her theatrical preoccupation with the slain in the spirit phenomenon. She was one of the very first ones that started the slain in the spirit phenomenon that goes on today in the charismatic churches, where they lay hands on you and you fall back. I know, because I was one of the main catchers at my church. Never forget the time that this one guy came, he was like from Australia, and I got there right after work, and I always wore a white shirt, tie, dress pants, and I was catching all these, particularly women, that were falling, and I caught this one, and I kind of squatted down, and I just ripped my pants from the front to the back. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. Let me tell you. And I didn't even know I did it. And I'm walking around here, and I mean, granted, nothing was, everything was appropriate. I had underwear on and stuff, but I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad. And the pastor came up to me and pulled my shirt out. And then he said, "I have one word for you, Dillards." I remember he said that to me. I forgot about that. Anyway, that was, I had that experience. But, yeah, I mean, this guy was going around. He literally had him around this big, gigantic sanctuary that would fit about 5,000 people. And there were just people all the way around. And you'd just catch one and go to the next and catch one. I mean, it was a good workout. I didn't have to go to the gym back then. I just had the workout at the church. But anyway, so now here's where it really gets interesting. What do New Agers and Maitreya himself teach about Aimee Semple McPherson? You're thinking, what do you mean? This is some Christian charismatic. What do you mean New Agers and Maitreya? Oh, let's look at that, because I find this particularly fascinating in light of the whole Catholic Church tie-in that we just went over with Benny Hinn, Catherine Kuhlman, all the corruption in the Catholic Church. Now let's look at this. This is from Elizabeth Clare Prophet, a prophecy that she gave, that totally demon-possessed witch. She gave this on April 1st, 1983, in Camelot, Malibu, California. This was beloved Ascended Lady Master Magda, channeling through Elizabeth Clare Prophet. You know who Ascended Lady Master Magda is, or claims to be? Aimee Semple McPherson. The spirit of Aimee Semple McPherson. Who's Lady Master Magda? Mary Magdalene. That's who she claims to be. She's just been reincarnated in different body forms. This is what the New Agers, this is what Maitreya teaches. Why would they pick her, a Christian minister? Kind of weird. Let's look at this channeling. Quote, "To look upon Aimee Semple McPherson, some might think it not in the full majesty of the Lord. They cannot imagine that a mere flesh and blood person, such as Mary Magdalene of the Bible." Well, what do the Gnostics, what do Holy Blood, Holy Grail teach about Jesus? They said he never got crucified. The lost tomb of Jesus, all that blasphemous stuff that came up about the Merovingian bloodline, which, you know where the Merovingian bloodline of the Illuminati says they come from? They said they come from Jesus. Well, what do you mean? They said, he was never crucified. No, he was whisked off the cross, and he went with his lover, Mary Magdalene, and they settled up into the European nations, I believe in Scotland, and they had kids. And that's where the Merovingian bloodline came from, which is what's being taught in many New Age circles now, and it's what the Illuminati claims at the highest level, in their 13 families, as the Merovingian bloodline. They say they came from Jesus. They're direct descendants of Jesus Christ. They're saying Aimee Semple McPherson is the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, who was the wife of Jesus Christ when he walked this earth. That's how this next statement is going to make a lot of sense to you. And remember, this is a channeling straight from a fallen angel, most likely. Okay, so they look upon Aimee Semple McPherson. They cannot imagine that a mere flesh and blood person, such as Mary Magdalene, or such as Aimee Semple McPherson in the final incarnation, meaning she was Mary Magdalene, and then she became Aimee Semple McPherson. She was reincarnated. Okay. They could not see how Aimee Semple McPherson in the final incarnation could even be worthy of being the bride of Christ. Could even be worthy of being the bride of Christ. Why did they say that? Because what they teach is that Jesus married Mary Magdalene. So, in other words, Aimee Semple McPherson, which is the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, is the bride of Jesus Christ. That's what they teach. This is beyond blasphemous. And because their minds always contemplate flesh and blood union, they cannot imagine the necessity of the eternal Christ for having a wife in heaven, much less a wife on earth. You're missing this. Now, I give you a picture of the book that this comes from, and then this goes on to say, I'm just about done here. This goes on to say,